The nation will bid adieu to its war hero, the Marshal, the only Marshal, in fact, of the Indian Air Force, Arjan Singh, today. He will be remembered as a charismatic leader, as someone who led from the front and, of course, contributed for generations together in service to the nation. Arjan Singh will be laid to rest today at Brar in the national capital with full state honours. The national flag will be flying at half-mast today to, in fact, celebrate and honour Arjan Singh and his legacy. Joining us on this broadcast this morning is Aditya Rajkol. We've also got Snehesh Philip, who's joining us, both of whom, of course, will get us the latest updates from the ground, even as, of course, we will see the final goodbye for the Marshal of the Indian Air Force, Arjan Singh. It's over now to Parikshit Luthra, who's joining us from the ground.
Thanks very much, Akshata. And the mood here at Brar Square in the Delhi cantonment area is indeed somber. We have officers, we have soldiers from all the three wings of the Defence Forces. I'll just ask my camera person Sean to pan and show you what's happening here at the cremation ground at the Delhi cantonment. You've got the Air Force, you've got the Army, you've got the Navy, and you've got the Delhi Police. You've got all the forces here, and they are ready to bid goodbye to Arjan Singh. At 8:30 this morning, his body will be taken in a gun carriage, yes, with full honours. Arun Jaitley, remember, the former Defence Minister, had said that he will get maximum honours because he is the third and probably the last Marshal of the Indian Air Force. So his body will be taken through a gun carriage all the way from Kautilya Marg to Brar Square to this cremation ground, and there will be a flypast as well. And this is really befitting, isn't it? Because he was the man who led the first flypast over the Red Fort on the first Independence Day on the 15th of August, 1947. I'm going to go across to Snehesh. Snehesh, can you tell us more about what are we expecting between 8:30 and 9:30 this morning? Snehesh.
And 9:30 is when the state funeral will start. You know, there would be... Yeah, between 9:57 to 10:03, there would be a flypast by the Indian Air Force. There would be a flypast by the Indian Air Force. There would be two formations that would be there. One would be the helicopter formation, and the second one would be by the Su-30 fighter jets, which is the frontline fighter aircraft of the Indian Air Force. The Su-30 would be doing a missing man formation, which means that it's actually a tribute to the fallen hero. And this is what the IAF is planning as of now. If the weather permits, there would be a flypast. But yes, this is a state funeral. You will have a 21 gun salute that would be accorded to the Marshal of the Air Force. He was a man who inspired generations of military personnel and will continue to inspire. Parikshit.
Absolutely. Let's go across to Aditya. Aditya is at his 7A Kautilya Marg residence. Aditya, we saw several dignitaries. The Prime Minister also took out time to visit his residence last evening and meet the family.
Right, we seem to be having an issue connecting with Parikshit. I want to continue, of course, where Parikshit let off. Aditya, we're coming to you now. Give us a sense of what's happening there.
Well, yes, Akshata, we're reporting this morning from 7A Kautilya Marg. This is the official residence of the Marshal of the Air, Arjan Singh, who passed away day before yesterday at around 7:47 in the evening. What a life he had. In fact, an inspiration to masses, not just the armed forces. And today he would be laid to rest. The flags, the tricolour, would be flying at half-mast in honour and respect of this inspiring figure. And right behind me, the Guard of Honor would be beginning anytime now. These live visuals coming on your screen on Republic, where you can see the tri-services, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, in fact, lined up here. And in fact, the Guard of Honor in a gun carriage. The mortal remains would be moving any moment now. You will get, live coverage of the same. At this moment, the family members and also senior officers of the Air Force, Navy and the Army are very much present there. They will be moving to Brar Square, which is not very far from this particular location. Just about 3 to 4 kilometers from this particular location. But clearly, it will be a slow moment, so we can expect any time between 30 to 45 minutes, they will be reaching Brar Square. Between 10 to 10:30 is the time when the final rites would be beginning, with the state funeral and the Guard of Honor again at the Brar Square. So certainly, that's the protocol that will be followed. Of course, we will have the 3 service chiefs, including General Bipin Rawat and Air Chief Marshal Dhanua of the Air Force present there, apart from the Navy Chief and also the Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. So yesterday, a wreath was laid here on behalf of the Prime Minister from Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. But clearly, all preparations underway here. Any moment now, the gun carriage would be moving with the full state honours at the 7A Kautilya Marg residence in the heart of the national capital. So certainly, Arjan Singh's life is something that, one and all would be remembering. What a life he had. 15th April, he was born in Faisalabad in Pakistan. And since then, he has led a heroic life. He participated and initially joined the Royal Air Force, and gradually the Indian Air Force. He participated on the flypast on the 15th of August in 1947. And gradually, there was much happening. The official Guard of Honor is beginning here. The bands are started playing. And in fact, the gun carriage is moving. So finally, the gun carriage is moving here. The final journey of Marshal of the Air, Arjan Singh, is beginning at 7A Kautilya Marg. These are live images coming on.
भाई साहब थोड़ा सा
So we're getting you these visuals, of course, of the mortal remains of the Marshal of IAF, Arjan Singh, being taken to Brar Square. That's where, of course, the last rites will take place. Aditya Rajkol is still with us. Aditya, it's over to you. You're, of course, right there at Kautilya Marg.
Well, absolutely. We're reporting live from outside 7A Kautilya Marg. The mortal remains of Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh, being moved from here. Right behind me, this is the cavalcade that is being moved right now. Very somber mood here. It was, almost like a teary-eyed farewell, a final adieu to someone who will always be an inspiring force, not just for the Air Force, not just for the armed forces, but hundreds and millions of people across India. So this is the full cavalcade that is moved from here, 7A Kautilya Marg residence of Marshal of the Air Force, the Marshal of the Skies, indeed, for India, Arjan Singh. And just a few kilometers away is Brar Square, where Parikshit and Snehesh are reporting from. And that's where the final rites, the state funeral, would be accorded to this person who has always lived a life of commitment, a soldier, who will be always remembered for being the longest surviving soldier of the Indian Air Force. So certainly there are some preparations that are still underway. You can see these armed tricolor and, the tri-forces that are in fact moving now to another location. And finally, the action from here shifts to the Brar Square, where the state funeral will be accorded. And in fact, Parikshit Luthra, my colleague, is joining in from Brar Square. So finally, the final journey of Marshal of the Air Force, Arjan Singh, has begun from here. Parikshit, what exactly is happening? What are the preparations like at Brar Square? Who exactly do we expect, apart from the Defence Minister and the three service chiefs? And what is, the entire preparation really going to be like?
Well, the entire top brass of the Air Force, the Army and the Navy is here at the Brar Square, at the cremation ground. That's where Snehesh and I are standing at this point in time. So they are ready. We are told that it is by about 9:15 that Arjan Singh and that entire cavalcade, the gun carriage carrying his body, will arrive here. He will get a gun salute. He will be sent off with the maximum honors. I spoke to some Air Force officials who are ready there, who are standing by for him, and they said that he deserves the best. He was led from the front. He was the man who meant a lot to our entire force, and he deserves this. We have been waiting. Some of them have been waiting since 4 a.m. this morning, and they say that this really doesn't matter because he was the senior most officer, our Field Marshal, the Marshal of the Air Force, and that's why we are ready for this kind of send-off. Remember, he is also, in all likelihood, to get a flypast because they want to give him a befitting farewell. He was the officer who led the only flypast over the Red Fort on the 15th of August 1947, on India's first Independence Day. So today, he's going to get that flypast, but only if the weather permits. So you can see in front of me all top officers of the Army, the Air Force and the Navy right here at the cremation ground. we're expecting a lot of dignitaries. You've got the SPG over here, so you've got SPG protectees like Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Manmohan Singh, who could arrive. We don't know about the Prime Minister's schedule as of now. We're told that we will get to know in a short while from now whether Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be coming. But of course, you will have the Defence Minister, you'll have top cabinet ministers. You can expect some diplomats, close family members. His daughter was there yesterday. His son would also join in the morning. There are a few journalists inside. Yeah, and I am told that we have some guests joining us at this point, Aditya and Snehesh. We have Colonel V.N. Thapar joining us. Colonel Thapar, this is a befitting farewell to the man who led us from the front in 1965. He's always done us proud in various capacities, even during the height of militancy in Punjab.
Oh yes, I think whatever we may do for giving him a solid farewell, it will fall short. He deserves everything on this, the country can give him. You know, I was just a young boy of 15 and a half in the National Defence Academy when we first got inspired. And though I am now today 76 years old, I still keep getting inspired every time I met him. I met the Marshal just 3 years ago in Noida and earlier in one of the functions, and his erect bearing, the way he conducted himself was in itself, you know, worth emulating. The little point that I want to say is that we achieve a lot in life, in our lifetime. And that itself is a treasure. But what we leave behind is something that is, you know, becomes a legacy. And he's left so much behind for the Indian Armed Forces. I won't restrict myself to the Air Force. For the Indian Armed Forces, that it enriches our military history. You know, things like imbibing the spirit. If you are a commander, you must imbibe the spirit. For example, he said, you will never be a complete fighter pilot till you have seen the bullets coming to you, till they hit you, and then alone will you become a pilot in the real fighter pilot in the full sense. Further, once he made an utterance that we don't have to fight for the sake of fighting, we fight for the sake of winning. Now, those are the kind of things, you know, that motivate the rank and file. And it motivated the Indian Air Force to an extent that with extinct fighter aircraft like the Vampires and the Tufanis and the Oregons, we still kept the Pakistanis at bay in Cham. It was because of his singular leadership. I think the Air Force, the Armed Forces and the nation at large has much to learn from him. He is going where he liked best, that is the skies. From the skies, he will always be looking down at the Air Force, and whenever we down below require guidance, we can look upwards to him, and surely that guidance will come. It's a wonderful, he was a person who has left a stamp on the Indian Armed Forces.
All right, Colonel Thapar. Colonel Danveer Singh, if I can come to you, you know, Arjan Singh, the Marshal of the IAF, has left behind such a large legacy. But to you, what is your fondest memory of Arjan Singh?
See, I am too young to form memories about the Marshal. But one thing which India can never forget, that is his contribution in saving Kashmir. Let me tell you, had it not been his leadership, had it not been his courage to lead from the front, Kashmir would have been lost. He blunted the Akhnur thrust, and that was very essential. Had Pakistanis achieved that in cutting off the state of Jammu and Kashmir from at the chicken's neck, let me tell you, Kashmir would have been lost. So the greatest contribution of this man towards the territorial integrity of this country is that he brought Pakistanis to a halt. That was a point in time in the history of the Air Force that our Air Force was qualitatively lesser than the Pakistani Air Force. Pakistani Air Force at that time did have some night flying capability. Pakistani Air Force at that time was flying Sabre jets, which were equipped with top of the line, the best of the air-to-air missiles, which we lacked. We had vintage aircraft inventory while they had the modern inventory, and yet we could achieve that air superiority that saved Kashmir. And that is why he is the Marshal of the Indian Air Force. And this is the most befitting